payments becoming more strategic, we see that new players on the market, like digital banks, they come with a product like a card for payment. But if you look at the way that currently the payment systems are in place, most of them are legacy. But if you really want to make a product like payment more strategic, you need to have the modern technology for the modern days problem. Hi, my name is Fatemeh Nikayin. I'm one of the co-founders of Rivero. We are a company, fintech, located in Zurich, Switzerland. And basically what we do, we try to help banks to simplify their card payment operations.
Really cool. Really cool. What interesting niche that you've selected. So I will have two parts of the question. One, I would like to have a little bit more how you helped them, right? And then I would like to pivot maybe how it all started. How did you decide to go into this business? So let's start with what exactly you're helping companies with those payments, and where did you then find that gap in the market that there was need for service like this?
Yeah, so my career started pretty much in the payment industry. After finishing university, I started working as a consultant, and then as part of the projects I got to work a lot for banks in the payments related topics and projects. So yeah, over time I got quite interested in the domain and also how things are done, because usually as a consumer you don't really know how payments happen. You just tap your card at the terminal or use your digital wallets. Yeah, and then as part of like working in the industry, you start seeing how things are maybe not done in the perfect way, and how much room is there for improvement, efficiency gain for banks. And that was basically the reason that maybe we started Rivero. So I also got to know my co-founder as part of, working in the industry together, and always complaining about how things are done, and therefore like thinking either we continue complaining or I start doing something to fix the problems. To answer your second question about what we actually do is pretty much we provide software software as service applications for banks that have license with Visa or MasterCard to issue cards or accept cards payment. So as a bank working with these payment networks, you have to cover certain type of payment operations. And with our two products, we help them on one side with the scheme compliance part, managing the updates from the payment networks. And then with the second product, we help them especially with the increasing problem of fraud and fraud recovery and disputes management.
Really cool. And these are, from my experience, these are the best type of products when they are started from someone from within inside of the industry. So you've experienced how it is done. Yeah, for me, for a consumer, it looks great right up. And especially when you don't have any problems, but from the inside, no, that could be improved. And you decided that technology can improve that massively, because obviously technology allows that scale, accuracy, and being much better than humans would do that with any other tools. Really, really cool. Now let's dive deeper into those two products that you've mentioned, because we've discussed them before as well. And obviously you shout out about them on your website and in your materials. So what are the issues there really, right, that you are solving in particular with those two products?
Yeah, so I start with the first one. It's called Kayo. The name, it comes from Esperanto language as platform. Working in the industry, so let's start with this. As a bank that issue cards or accept cards payment, you work with some rules and requirements that the payment networks like Visa, MasterCard, they set and they put in place. So these are like all the informations that the banks receive on a weekly basis from the payment networks on things related to technical parts, how to make sure that still the payment flow works perfectly, but also it can be commercial part, like the fees, marketing related, how to put the logo of Visa or MasterCard on the card. So there are a lot of wide range of topics that as a bank you need to stay updated and stay compliant. It's a bit of a franchise model. So if you want to open a McDonald's restaurant, you need to comply with rules that they set in place. But if you look at the way that it's done as of today, is pretty much banks, they receive this information usually as a PDF, and then there are teams or individuals that are responsible to make sure they find the right information and send it to the relevant people in the organization. But the problem with this is that it's pretty much manual. It's a send and forget type of things, and sometimes it makes it really hard to keep an overview of how the bank is doing in terms of staying compliant with the network and make sure there are no oversights, because of course if you have oversights then you will also be exposed to fines and penalties, or even in worst case scenario things are not working, your customers cannot pay, and those type of challenges.
Fantastic. Absolutely love this. So I absolutely love this for the fact that, you're replacing a manual process that historically has been done by people in the office in the manual PDF documents, the old school. And on top of this, these people don't sound very cheap, right? This is not some low paid clerk. You need to put some trust into those people to understand how to analyze this, and that's why you went and started optimizing this with technology, right? So I would like to maybe ask, why do C-level executives should start thinking about transforming their payment processing operations? Because obviously they do have a system and it works. Why they should look into a better system?
All right, so I try to keep it short. So
Sure.
over the last 10 years, payments becoming more strategic. We see that new players on the market, like digital banks, they come with a product like a card for payments. And then what happens is that they learn about their client base and start adding additional product and services on top. But if you look at the way that currently the payment systems are in place, most of them are legacy. Banks usually work with very large service providers to get the basic of payments up and running. But if you really want to make a product like payments more strategic, you need to have the modern technology for the modern days problem. These days, we don't only use card payment, we use digital wallets. Every country has their own different ways of people pay. So as a bank, to catch up with all these new ways of payment, collect inside, you need to set the infrastructure and update your legacy system to stay lean and efficient, but also be able to move fast and innovate.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. Every country, especially maybe even in e-commerce, that's where we used to work before. In e-commerce, you would think that everyone is just checkout with Visa and MasterCard. It isn't, right? Every country has got their maybe even app that is widely used by the majority of people, different quick transfers between banks, actually skipping Visa and MasterCard. PayPal is quite strong in quite a few countries as well. So many. And on top of this, it's changed the world, and we stopped using as much cash, which tells me the story that probably the fraud moved to outside of a cash because the fraud moves where the money moves, right? And it used to be maybe more in cash, and now it's more in digital because that's how people actually use and store their money. Really cool. Now, I know for a fact that you are a partner of Visa. How did that start? How did Visa trusted you so much to partner up with you, and you acquired them as one of your partners? I would love to hear that story as well.
Yeah, sure. Maybe before I start with the Visa partnership, I tell you because you mentioned fraud, and it triggered me that I didn't answer the question about the second product.
Gotcha.
So you mentioned a really good point about increasing volume of e-commerce transaction, whether it's like via card payments like Visa and MasterCard, but also PayPal and other players. And then exactly you see like as e-commerce starts booming, you also start seeing more and more fraud cases, more disputed transactions. And as a result, another challenge for most banks is how to catch up with all this increasing volume of fraud, how to make sure they respond to the customers in time, because most countries have their own rules and regulations for that. And that was the reason we started with the second product that is helping issuing banks to streamline the fraud recovery and dispute management process, making it fully digitalized, enabling cardholders to dispute a fraud or dispute with a merchant easily. So yeah, after building these products, and pretty much because we built our product based on the standards of the payment networks like Visa and MasterCard, we try to solve the problems that clients of Visa and MasterCard they have, which the banks. So the partnership with Visa started in a way that we got to talk with Visa. They started liking our products because they knew that the topics that we are addressing are actually pain points for their clients. And therefore, we went through the process of due diligence with Visa, of course, for them to really check our products and vet if these are like products that they would consider recommending to their clients. So it was a long process. It took us a bit of a time, but at the end, it's great to be partner with the payment networks because, well, we're basically trying to solve the problems of their clients as well.
Really cool story. And yeah, well done. Huge congratulations. Obviously, I know
Thank you.
how difficult it is to get someone big like this to be fully trusting you and partnering up and naming this and allowing you to name that and work together and protect their clients, right? Obviously, that's what makes them that big, the amount of clients that they have. And they gave you the trust. Fantastic story. Beautiful. Now, so let's go to your biz dev and how are you finding your new clients? You clearly have got a fantastic product and product market fit. The need for your service is increasing. There are smaller banks and financial institutions appearing every year, left and right in every country. The demand's going to be there. What's been working for you in terms of finding yourself new clients, new partners, maybe even prospecting to them, marketing efforts? Is there anything that's particularly worked better than anything else?
It's really a hard questions, but I can tell you what we have done. So usually, as a fintech or a startup, you start with the networks you have. And given that me and my co-founder, we have been working in the industry, we initially had a good network, and that helped with the initial set of customers, because that's the hardest part. Because why a bank would trust a very young company with their core payment processes? So that was really helpful, and we are always grateful to the early days customers because they trusted us, and that creates showcases that we as a company can provide this type of products to banks. But once you are done with the first level network that you have, that's the hard part that really starts. What we tried to do was to first be very strict about ideal customer profile that we have. So we define it as banks that they have issuing license with Visa and MasterCard, and they have a certain amount of cards, because the problems we are solving for banks usually more relevant if the bank has a certain size. For example, you should have a certain number of cards to even, want to care about the topics around compliance or volume of fraud or disputes. Having defined the ICP criteria, we are in an advantageous position that our product doesn't need so much localization because they are built based on the payment networks standard. So basically our target market is global. We can tomorrow sell to a bank in North America without having to make any changes to our product, which put us in a good place to have a wider range of potential initial customer that we can target. But in order to reach out to them and talk with them, so of course we tried different channels. Of course, one of the very good one is the relationship with Visa, because when they know clients that they are in need for what we are offering, they connect us with them. We also do direct sales. Of course, that means that we look for profiles that could benefit from our products and we reach out to them directly. Attending conferences in the industry, one of the important ones From a marketing perspective, we started rather late, I would say mostly mid of last year to really start building the team. And there we focus on thought leadership, creating awareness about some of the challenges, but also creating good content for our client base, but also for other prospects that we want to talk with. We organize events every now and then for customers in different cities across Europe, because our target market at the moment is pretty much Europe. And I think these are all different ways that we have been trying. We have started trying some lead generation services from other companies. I don't know yet if and how good they will perform. But of course, one of the biggest challenge for us is first get to talk to banks, have that open door to talk with them. But then once you have it, then usually the conversation with banks takes a lot of time. So of course, we run at a different pace than most banks. They do business, so it's always trying to help them to be faster as part of the sales process.
And I can completely see that. We've been working with few banks, and I know that just the pace, the amount of meetings, and even if someone is convinced that they should listen to someone about improving something, that's just the beginning, right? There will be endless meetings, endless discussions. And even if someone says, yes, we're going ahead, that's still months to go by the time the invoice is sent and paid. But I think it's a good idea leveraging this Visa partnership and leveraging this and saying, hey, the Visa recommends us to other clients. Can I speak to you? But it's always going to be difficult with banks. These people don't like to share. Internal policies very often don't allow them to share much information. Earning that initial trust is difficult, and I can see why you're going to conferences and industry events, because that personal connection is a little bit easier there. Right. And the other in that whole growth through growing and scaling the company, and the other challenges that really stands out for your growth that you overcome clearly, because you're here and you're signing some fantastic deals and partnerships. Is there anything that stands out in your journey?
Yeah, I can mention two topics. One is hiring. Hiring is really hard. Of course, finding the right people for the stage that we are is not easy. And of course, as a young company, as a small company, you want to keep the quality very high. So we don't want to compromise on just hiring for the sake of hiring. We want to still be very critical to hire people that we think we can trust them with our customers, because of course every customer is very important to us and we want to serve them in the best way. So hiring, definitely. And one of my lessons learned as part of hiring was to trust your intuition, because sometimes on paper things look good, but if your gut feeling is not comfortable with a choice, then don't make that call. So that was one of my learning. The second challenge that we faced, and I think many other startups might face, especially if you are working in regulated industries like us, is pretty much all the regulations, things around security and privacy. For example, if we were not in a position to show to the banks that, for example, our products are free from any confidential or sensitive data, we would have much harder time to sell our products to banks. We were lucky that we made this conscious choice at the beginning of designing the product to really design it in a way that doesn't contain any sensitive data. And that help as part of the sales process with the bank. And I would say any startup, if they can do a build product without having to get into all this security and privacy topic, that would be one of the things that they should start from day one, how to design their product to stay out of those topics. That can be really a big help to sell.
Yeah, and that shows your experience and you coming from the actual industry, because you knew, I take it from the very beginning, how important factor that's going to be later, right? It's maybe not to show at the surface or what you can do or what they're not doing, but you knew that question will be there, and that question will be the number one objective to the person that actually is the decision maker and is able to sign a contract. Compliance
Absolutely.
is everything for them, right? They just, above everything, they just protect their clients as much as they can. So I completely get that. Okay, I just want to touch as well on your strategy for the next 12 months, right? In the growth, you're clearly doing a fantastic job, and you've mentioned you try and acquire new things, and in religion, so you're trying new things. Are there any other plans for the next 12 months? How are you going to incorporate some of those case studies? Maybe you have maybe try different digital channels, maybe posting content more often. Is there something that's been discussed about pivoting into your strategy?
Yeah, so yeah, definitely like having more content is one of the way that we are focusing on. As I mentioned, events, we found it quite helpful to bring people together, especially in niche domain that we are. Like a lot of people like to go to an event and talk with other people that have the similar challenges or deal with similar topics. So we want to facilitate that a bit more. Building community, I think that's something that I would very much like to explore, because, for example, in the domain of scheme compliance, it's a very isolated domain. So people in this role, they really have to deal with a lot of stuff, and sometimes it's confusing. They are not sure like what is required. It's really helpful if we can connect people together so that there are exchanges between experts on topic that's also bringing value to people. For us, I would say LinkedIn doesn't work that well when it comes to digital channel. I think it's pretty much crowded a space to do ads or digital marketing on channels like LinkedIn. We never used other social media because the target audience that we are after. Also, I don't find it appropriate to receive an ad on Instagram when I'm like just want to watch some happy dogs, and then you receive an ad about work. So that's also one of the things that we don't do. But yeah, let me think. I think surveys, market surveys can also be a good way, because you can start getting insights about what your customer profiles they need. To give you some market insight, and also get in touch with the experts in the domain to collect their view on topics. Yeah.
You've got some great ideas, great strategy, and plans. Obviously, touching on a lot of things. You know what's not working for you, and I agree. A lot of industries are different, right? Some people can sell something, even B2B on TikTok, but it's not going to happen for
Yeah.
bank sales, right? It's
No,
just not
no.
going to happen.
Sadly, no.
Exactly. Maybe some they know even clever marketing. I don't think that bank bias on TikTok, right? Really go. Now, if we can help, if someone from that listen to this podcast would be interested to finding out more, where could they find you in this digital space?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn and Twitter, so always happy to connect to people and exchange on our experience. Probably a lot of other founders working at a startup, so we all have similar topics that we want to solve. It's always good to connect.
Great. I'll leave the links below. I'll leave the link to the website so anyone can find out a little bit more about the company. Fatemeh, thank you for joining me today. I really enjoyed discussing with you and your journey and your ways that allow you to grow fantastic partnerships, sharing some plans for the next 12 months. It was very, very fantastic conversations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much as well, Pete.